Hi, welcome to this Expat Life. My name is Amanda Maxime, and as a certified coach, I help high-achieving expats find more fulfillment and happiness in their global lives. Because while life abroad is often amazing, it is not only rainbows and butterflies, as all experienced expats know. In this Expat Life, I open up space for all facets of life abroad and what you can do to thrive in it. And to support you in your personal, professional, and geographic life transitions, I share tips, tell relatable stories, and connect with fellow expats. Whether you've just moved abroad or you are a seasoned expat, this Expat Life is your place to find real understanding and to grow from the inside out. Enjoy the show. Hello again. Yesterday evening, I had the final session of my group program, the Next Level Expedition. And this group program was 6 months long. And over these 6 months, I guided 6 women towards their next level, whether it was for career, relationships, location, business, or just their general next level. And it has been 6 amazing months. It was my first group program that I did that long. I really enjoyed it. We combined inner growth, powerful coaching exercises together with doing and tangible action and a bit of accountability and support in the group as well. And it was so special to see how all these women changed their lives over the 6 months. And when I say change their lives, I don't mean it in a very big way, like changing your life for the better can often be in the really small shifts. The way that you speak with your partner when you are afraid, for example, or putting up some boundaries at work, or really deciding for yourself in your business. The way that you show up in your life, if you can change that in a small way, it can have great effects later on. So anyway, I was having that final session and there I made some space for a final Q&A, and one of them asked a question that I thought, hey, it will be interesting to share the answer here as well. And her question was, I know very well where I'm going and often I'm super excited, but still regularly I find myself feeling frustrated or afraid or just not in my best state as I'm working towards the goal. So how can I deal with this inconsistent energy? And I really like this question because I have been there myself as well. And actually, I still sometimes find myself in frustration or fear, exactly what I talked about in the last episode. But overall, I feel pretty steady when it comes to my business goals. But it wasn't like this, so I had to learn to stay consistent as well. And I bet there are more people who want to learn this. So whether you have a career goal or a relationship goal or a fitness goal or something else, at some point in this process towards the goals, you'll be faced with challenges. Maybe challenges related to the goal. Let's say you want to run a marathon and the training is exhausting you or you get an injury. And sometimes they can be challenges outside of the scope, but that still impact you. So maybe a loved one gets ill, or your boss is really nagging you for something annoying, or you're not sleeping very well. Things like that. These things all impact your mood and how you show up towards your goals. So what can you do to stay as consistent as possible in your energy so that you can continue to be in your best energy while you're working towards that goal? And I want to share what I shared with her yesterday. And there are actually 4 things. It's about detachment, data, do something else, and a daily practice. 4 Ds now that I'm thinking about it. So let's start. So first, detach. I think this is so important. And very often, a lot of people kind of lose themselves in their thoughts and emotions. And that's what I'm talking about here for detachment. So when something annoying happens, we get frustrated. Or when someone triggers us, we feel afraid or angry or sad. And something within us gets triggered and we kind of blend together with that. We are in it. To make this a little bit more concrete, let's use the example I used last week as well, when I was preparing for my live event and I was a little bit stressed out and my old ways of being and doing, it all got triggered and I was really in it. I was really in the anxious feelings and the stress that I was experiencing. until I reminded myself, no, I can just step out of it. This is just an emotion that I'm experiencing. Or when it's a thought, this is just a thought that I'm thinking. You don't have to be your emotions or your thoughts. You don't have to stay in them. Sometimes I get a little bit annoyed with some small things that other people did. And the old me would be frustrated for at least an hour or maybe even longer. I would just be like, oh, why do they have to do it this way? Or why couldn't they just tell me? Or why can't they just deliver their work or stick to their promises? And nowadays, I'm maybe annoyed for 10 seconds and then I'm able to let it go. And I'm talking about the small stuff, not the big stuff. The big stuff still has me in it for a bit longer. But I always try to recognize, hey, what is the emotion that I'm experiencing? And what thought am I thinking about this right now? And then to really recognize that I shouldn't attach to those thoughts and feelings. I can step out of it at any given time. This is up to me. So if you're working towards a goal and you feel frustrated, anxious, angry, whatever else, something that is not helping you to get towards that goal, detach. Start to recognize what you're thinking and feeling and start to see that you are not those things and that you can step out of it at any time. And if you do this often enough, you'll see that it will become a natural habit and your second nature. So that less and less you will find yourself in this inconsistent energy. So that is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is about data. So I often talk about how you can design your life and that you need to be intentional about your choices and your actions. And this is when the data comes in. So I asked my coachee in the group program as well, okay, if you are feeling so annoyed or so anxious or whatever she was feeling, can you identify when this is happening? Can you start to track your inconsistent energy so that you will learn what situations or what people or what tasks or whatever is triggering a certain negative emotion that isn't helping you towards your goal? And can you also start to see when you are feeling good and in your best energy in this process? And what you then want to do is that you want to decrease the situations or the triggers that cause the negative state and increase the things that bring you in your best state. So start seeing your inconsistent energy or the moods that you're experiencing as data. And it helps when you are detached because then you can really see it from a distance and you just track it. And how I do this, for example, is that I know exactly what I need to feel productive and good in my work days. So this is why I have certain focus hours per day that I usually like to do in the morning because that's when I'm most productive and sharp. And that's also why I have Mondays and Fridays off. I don't coach on those days. I do work on my business. But I don't coach because I know that having these days completely free of appointments is what is helping me to stay in my best energy. And if I have coaching appointments or other appointments throughout those 5 days, I know I'm going to feel scattered and all over the place with my chaotic brain. And this is not bringing me in the best energy that I need to go towards my goals. And I know this because I started tracking it at some point. Another thing that I realized, I just want to give you a few concrete examples so you have some examples to maybe test it out on your life. But I know for myself that I need some variety in my life, like pretty often actually. Having that need is what has been driving me a lot to go move abroad or to spend a month or 2 months or 3 months there. Because going abroad feeds my craving for variety and alternation of my surroundings. So I know to stay energized, enthusiastic, in my best self, I need to have new triggers around me or new stimuli. So I need to have new surroundings, new people, new things I'm doing. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's something new. And I saw that even in Rio, as I was living abroad, after 6 months, I fell back into my usual habits of like, ooh, I feel a bit stuck here. So now I really know, okay, I need to feed myself these new things. And I know this because I started tracking how I was feeling. So when you can track how you're feeling and what is causing that, and you start to see a pattern, then you also know what you need to give to yourself to stay in your best energy. And honestly, that best energy is really required if you're going towards a big goal, if you're doing something unconventional, because you probably have to rely a lot on yourself, whether it's moving abroad or starting a business or doing something else that the majority of people don't do. People are going to question you, judge you, maybe you need to find different kinds of support. It is just a little bit more lonely, that road, if you go an unconventional path with a big goal. That is why you need to stay in your best energy, because maybe in your surroundings, you won't naturally find the things that you need to stay in this best state. Just to give you a reason why this is so important. Okay, and then the third tip that I shared yesterday was to do something else. And this is really relevant when you are already in a bad mood or not in your best state, because you want to snap yourself out of it as soon as possible. Now, I'm not saying that you need to bypass your feelings. Don't gaslight yourself. I am all for experiencing your feelings and making space for whatever needs to be felt. But there is a difference between minor annoyances triggering you into a bad state and the real stuff that is causing painful emotions. And there's also a difference between experiencing the feelings and making space for the emotions and staying stuck in a story that you're telling yourself. What do I mean with that? Well, let's say you are a people pleaser and you find it difficult to protect your boundaries. And maybe you realized someone crossed your boundaries and you are annoyed or it hurts you in some way. Feel those emotions, but then the moment you start thinking, this always happens, how come I never, etc., etc., this is when you're then going into a story, and the story you need to change. So if you are stuck in a mood that is not helping you to get to your goal, do something else so you can get out of it. And what I like to do is to either give myself the antidote or really give myself what I truly need. So I often struggle with too many to-dos. There's too much I want to do. There are too few hours in the day. And so often I feel kind of rushed and I feel like I don't have time and I need to work. And when it's really bad, like when I'm in just before a deadline or before I'm going on a trip, I feel that the most. And the old me would give into that and think, okay, I just need to work harder and faster so that I can finish everything. The current me now says, okay, you really believe you need to work faster so you can do more. Then what I'm going to do now is to give myself rest and time off. And it feels counterproductive because you know you need to do more, but it's actually what the authentic me really needs, because I'm already in that rushed energy. So what I then give myself is peace and time and space. So even when I'm super busy and, actually even today I have a lot to do and I have strict deadlines today, I still take myself on a walk because I want to give the antidote to what the performing layer of me wants to do. And what the authentic me really needs is just peace and time and space. Because when I experience that, I actually get to do better work because I'm much sharper and much more creative. And sometimes what I still experience is that I'm in a bit of a low lethargic energy. This happens when I haven't slept well or when my whole day is booked with appointments and I don't have a lot of space for myself or for other projects. I can feel a bit low in my energy. Oh, and this also happens, by the way, when it's raining and it's gray outside. I'm so sensitive to the weather. So what I do when I feel low or slow, I then start to ask myself, okay, how do I want to feel? And usually I want to feel more energized and more excited. And so I then embody how I want to feel. Yesterday, I had a bit of a dip in the afternoon. I was just so tired. And then I thought, okay, I am feeling really slow, but actually what I want and need, because I still had some things to do, is to feel more energy. So I'm going to go for a run, even though I don't really feel like it. I was feeling very lazy yesterday. I came back super happy and energized, as running always works for me. But on other days when I feel really low and slow, sometimes what I really need is a nap. So this is not a one size fits all kind of approach. If you're feeling in a certain way that you know is not helpful, ask yourself what it is that you really need without falling into your usual patterns. So check in honestly with yourself and give yourself that. And sometimes that can mean a nap, sometimes it's a run. On other days, I did this a couple of days ago. This was just before my event, so I felt the pressure and I felt a little bit stuck in that pressure. And I realized I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to be stuck. So what do I need? I need movement, I need flow, I need creativity, I need energy. I need reggaeton in my life. It was early morning. I just put some reggaeton on the speakers and I danced for 10 minutes. And this really enabled my better state. Maybe something you've noticed with all these examples is that I used the body a lot in it. And this is also what I mean with do something else. Check in with yourself what you need and then embody that desired feeling. So if you want to feel free, do something that is freeing, like dancing. If you want to feel energized, do something that is with a lot of movement. If you want to feel in movement and not stuck or fast, go for a run. If you are really tired, grant yourself a nap. But really ask yourself what it is that you want to feel and see if you can embody that. Because if you can change your physical state, you will also change your emotional state. The body leads the way. So this is a fantastic way to really snap yourself out of it. And the fourth tip that I gave her was to come up with a daily practice. Now, I often talk about the future me and how I visualize that. And someone yesterday also shared that she also does this regularly, the visualizing her future self. But when she's really stressed or anxious, it doesn't work. And she tries to do it to calm herself, but it's not really effective. And I thought, yeah, that doesn't surprise me because when you are experiencing a lot of emotions, your body is in that state too. And then you can try to override it with your mind and visualization, but that doesn't always do the trick. But what does do the trick is to do this every day, the visualization or something else, so that you stay more often in that better energy and prevent yourself from those inconsistent moods. Isn't there this saying like everyone needs to meditate for half an hour a day? Unless you're busy, then you need to meditate for an hour. That also signals to me that if you do it regularly, you don't really need it that much because you're preventing yourself from going that route. So see for yourself what you need in a daily practice. I actually have a whole episode on my morning routine. I forgot which episode it was, but if you are curious about it or if you want to start your own morning routine, this episode is really interesting, if I may say so myself. So I currently have a daily practice that I visualize my future self just before starting my workday. And then I write down what fun, easy, light action I'm going to take today to get me to my future self, to that new timeline. And this daily practice has been so helpful in maintaining my energy. In other periods of my life, I had daily meditation. And this was when I was living in Brasilia as a diplomat. And my mind was working over hours and it was always on. And my work was taking a big place in my life. And I needed some peace and quiet in my brain. During the pandemic, I went for a walk every day for 15 minutes just to get out of the house. And also to end my working day, I had a little karaoke 10 minutes. I bought a karaoke microphone and I would just go for it for 10 minutes because we were in lockdowns and there was nothing to do and I needed to express myself. So a daily habit or daily practice is not something static that you need to stick with for forever. Just check in with yourself. Hey, what do I need more of in my life? And take a look at step number 2, the data. If I find myself anxious too often, can I give myself something on a daily basis that is preventing the anxiety? If I feel annoyed too often, then can I give myself something that is going to make me feel more joyful and peaceful? If I feel fearful of what I'm capable of my goal, can I include something that is going to make me feel as powerful as fuck? So that is like future self-visualization, for example. Have an honest look with yourself. What do you need more of to prevent you from going to certain moods, and how can you give yourself that on a daily basis. And this can be as short as 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. All right, these were 4 tips that you can apply if you have a clear goal where you're working towards, but you find yourself in inconsistent energy a little too often to your liking. And you know you need to be in your best state to get to your goal, but how do you do that? Well, these 4 tips can help you. And these 4 tips are great, I think, for everyone, but this is really so for the people who have their goal or vision pretty clear. They know what they're working towards. If you feel inconsistent in your energy, but you also have no idea where you're going, then you need to start with something else first. You need to start clarifying your vision. Because without a strong vision, it's really hard to stay in that better energy. You need to have like a goal that is so attractive to you that it's just pulling you towards it. But how you can do that, that's for another episode. I'll probably come back to that at a later point. But for now, I hope these 4 tips were useful. And if you think, hey, this was interesting, and I would also like to have the opportunity to ask all my questions to Amanda and to a bigger group, then I have something nice for you, because I have a new group program starting on the 3rd of November. Called the Co-Pilot. And the Co-Pilot is for self-reliant expats who like to achieve things and who got their career or life pretty much sorted out, maybe not everything, but they don't feel completely steady in it. And for the expats who know that they want to deepen their personal growth because they feel like, if I can just sort that inner stuff out, then my outer world is also going to improve more. And I'm only opening up 15 spots for the Co-Pilot this first round for the lowest investment ever. And more information is coming soon. But the first people to hear about the offer and the program are those on the priority list. And quite a few of you have already joined the priority list. I already saw it, which is very nice. And you can get on it too. There are no strings attached. You will just get a few emails from me when the time is there, when the doors are open, and you decide whether you want to join or not for this no-brainer offer. There's no other spam. You won't be added to a general mailing list. So if you want to join the priority list, go to the link in the show notes. All right, I wish you an amazing day wherever you are. I'm going to continue with my to-dos and make sure I can take everything off before my deadline tonight. Talk to you soon.